At last, Fitbit smartwatch is finally here. After months of rumors and reports of developmental problems, Fitbit is finally ready to unveil its first ever smartwatch. It's called the Ionic, and I've had it for a few days now just to kind of play with it. And I have to be honest, I'm really excited about this device. There are quite a few new features to unpack with the Ionic, so let's dive right in. Now, the first thing you'll notice about the Ionic is its large, colorful display. This is a full-color 1.42-inch screen with a 348 by 250 resolution. And that may sound low, but it actually looks surprisingly sharp and vibrant on the watch. That might be thanks in part to what Fitbit calls a spherical glass display. It means that it's slightly curved on the surface to fit your hand a little bit better, but we'll get to that later. Right now, though, things like photos and words look very clear and very lively on this screen. Another thing I really like about the display is how bright it gets. This goes up to 1000 nits, which makes it really easy to see in bright daylight. You'll also notice that this screen provides a wonderful canvas for Fitbit OS. It is the company's first ever fully fleshed app-based platform, and it feels surprisingly mature for a first-time effort. Though I shouldn't be that shocked because this probably has a lot to do with Fitbit's acquisition of smartwatch pioneer Pebble. Now with Fitbit OS, you'll get things like fully functioning apps from your wrist, as well as features like Fitbit Pay, another new thing that was brought about with the Ionic. Now the watch has NFC built-in, and you can use Fitbit Pay to buy things at stores that support contactless payments. This was really useful in my testing and actually worked. However, I'd be careful though because that was during a specific setup that Fitbit had for us. Whether it will work well in the real world will remain to be seen. You can use it wherever MasterCard's contactless payment system is accepted, and launch partners also include Visa and Amex, so that's a lot of partners on board already. Now speaking of NFC, the Ionic has a whole host of sensors, including an enhanced heart rate monitor, something new called a relative blood oxygen monitor, as well as onboard GPS. That blood oxygen monitor hasn't really been fully implemented yet, but it is something that Fitbit says will eventually help it detect and understand sleep apnea. Moving on then to GPS, which is something that's making its way to a lot of wearables these days. Fitbit's a little bit behind, but hey, it added this so that you can track your runs and your swims more effectively. And when you're using GPS on the Ionic, your battery will last for up to 10 hours continuously. That is pretty long, but also if you think about the fact that Fitbit estimates the watch will last for about 4+ days on a charge, that's longer than a lot of the competition. That estimate is in line with my experience so far. When I received the watch, it was at about 50% charged, and it conked out about 2.5 days of use, so that seems pretty accurate of an estimate. Coming back a little bit to Fitbit OS, some of the things that you'll get with this new system is fully fledged apps. The titles you get pre-installed on the watch include Starbucks for you to load a gift card on and scan the barcode at Starbucks without having to bring your wallet with you, as well as Pandora. This is the first time Pandora is available as a standalone app on a wearable. With it, you can play your favorite music stations through the watch to paired Bluetooth earphones. The caveat here is that you'll have to have a paid account with Pandora to use this feature. Other apps you'll get out of the box include Fitbit's own exercise app for starting workouts, utilities like weather, alarm, and reminders, as well as the relaxed meditation or guided breathing function, as well as something that is now called Coach. It's also a new, sort of rebranded feature. It used to be known as the FitStar integration that would teach you or recommend certain types of workouts for you just from the wrist, but now Coach, which is the new name of the feature, has a whole new look. It uses actual pictures and videos of people to kind of show you the exercises you should be doing and really walks you through the entire workout. So when you go to the gym, you shouldn't have to be left scrambling to find what workouts to do or looking up Instagram videos for inspiration. It's all right there on your wrist. Since Fitbit OS is basically a smartwatch operating system, it would be remiss to miss out things like smartphone notifications. You'll find them when you swipe up from the bottom of the screen, and you can get notifications from any app that can push an alert through your phone. For example, I have Twitter and Slack enabled. The one caveat is you can't reply to text messages or any of the other messages, you can only see them. Zooming out a little bit from the software, let's take a look at the physical characteristics of the Ionic. Fitbit hasn't strayed far from its classic design. It's a little bit blockish still. There are still things about the Ionic that will make you think of Fitbit when you look at it. Now, instead of looking like a basic tracker like the Charge 2, this is more of a watch aesthetic here that is something you'll remember from the Blaze and the Surge that Fitbit had launched previously. This is a more refined model though. It's got the same kind of hexagonal shape to it that the Blaze did. It's designed with something that Fitbit calls nano molding technology, or NMT, and basically what that means is everything's kind of been crafted into a single aerospace-grade aluminum unibody, which also hugs your wrist more closely because it curves very slightly. This helps with the accurate positioning of the sensors on the underside, meaning that you can always get a very good reading of your pulse. This is also very important for sleep tracking, which is something that I noticed was a problem with the Alta HR. With the Ionic, I've had no problems with the heart rate sensor tracking my pulse when I am asleep because it doesn't really get moved out of place as much as the Alta HR did. Another thing about the Ionic's design, it is waterproof, like a lot of other Fitbits have been, but in this case, you can actually use the Ionic to track your swim. So when I took it to my pool for a couple of laps, the Ionic was actually very accurate in detecting the number of laps I actually did, as well as the time I took to finish each lap. That was in part using GPS as well as something I entered into the app to tell Fitbit how long my pool is. Alongside the Ionic, Fitbit also released something called the Flyer, which is also another category first for the company. It is a wireless headphone set that is designed to accompany you on your workouts because it is sweatproof and durable. It can pair with the Ionic to play music from your wrist, or it can pair with a variety of Bluetooth devices, and at the same time, because it has Bluetooth 4.2, it can connect to two devices simultaneously, so you don't have to pick between your watch and your phone. The Flyer's battery is supposed to last for up to 6 hours of continuous playback, which is pretty long, much longer than your typical workout. My pink and white version is pretty attractive and it feels really sturdy and comfortable in my ear too. And each Flyer comes with a set of fins, tips, and wings so you can customize it for a better fit. To be clear though, this is not two separate wireless earbuds. They are connected by a cable, and on that cable sits a control box for you to manage things like the volume, skipping forward. All in all, the Fitbit Flyer is a very basic device for $130 later this year, so you might be able to find a better option from any of the more established brands out there like Jabra, Bose, or JBL. But if you want something that will work seamlessly with your Ionic, this is the option to go for. We've got a very good look at Fitbit's first smartwatch so far, but there's still a lot of testing that needs to be done before we know if this is worth the $300 asking price. It'll be available later this year in October, and we'll have our review up most likely before that. So hey, stay tuned to Engadget.com to see if the Ionic is worth your money.